Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 My Career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we head to one of two back-to-back Silverstone races of the classic Silverstone format and the Silverstone short track coming in the next episode. We had a bit of drama last time out in the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a wild race it was, where we saw Lando Norris pick up his first win of his Formula 1 career as Hamilton and Bottas continue to fight for a championship. But we had quite a bit of drama ourselves with Charles Leclerc, and as well faced the press in practice.
You had quite an F2 moment with Charles in Hungary. Lots of people have been doubting you.
I mean, I think it was his fault anyways, to be honest with you, Ted, but I'm going to race as hard as I need to and do what I need to make sure that this team, has success. So if the grid's got a problem with it, deal with it. After those comments were made, Charles Leclerc was actually mentioned to him by Ted Kravitz as well, what I had mentioned, and he said, I will deal with it if I need to. So this is certainly a rivalry brewing with, a bit of a team that's quite a bit in front of Renault, but I mean, a lot further back than they are expecting to be in this 2020 season. So yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how things play out maybe over the course of this weekend here. As well, by the way, you might notice there's been no videos the last few days, of course, so my girlfriend had her wisdom teeth surgery, so I had to be, of course, with her and assisting with that. So if you're seeing the videos now, it means we're back into the normal swing of videos. So very excited for just this weekend here in Silverstone and seeing what we can do, because in Hungary we proved that we had the pace to score points, but we just didn't quite have the race strategy on our side. And the same went for our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo here at the end of practice, actually having a big moment, going for a spin and cops into the barrier. And that would be practice over, and that does not make me look good. Just after I made comments going into this free practice about our bit of a rivalry shaping up with Charles Leclerc, now make myself look like the class clown there in the gravel. So heading into qualifying, I didn't really know what to expect, and I know this is a weekend where if I make comments like I just did, we have to step up. We have outscored our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo once, but we haven't scored a point, and we need to do that this weekend, and we have to have a priority on scoring points. If we can do that, I will be pretty satisfied this weekend here. And we come through into Q1, and my first lap in Q1 wasn't so hot as we come through the final couple of corners heading towards this front straightaway. In lap 1, we're going to find ourselves buried in P16, not enough to move on to Q2. Now, lap 2, I would find some improvement, and we'd find a good 2 to 3 tenths of a second here in the first couple of sectors now, and I was hopeful that was going to be enough here in my last lap attempt here to try and get through over Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean, as well as we continue to be in P16 as we round the final turn, and we actually gave up a bit of time, but it was still enough of a gain to move through into Q2, just barely to P14, Ricciardo in P10, so looking like maybe we don't quite have the speed that we've had in the last few races here as a team, but obviously it's still too early to tell. We jump into Q2 and look at this. Rain is starting to fall immediately, so now everyone's in their race of their own of trying to get on the track and get a lap in as quick as possible, because the time is only going to get slower as the rain is going to continue to fall, and it's going to get heavier into Q3. If we make it into Q3, we probably will not be on a dry compound tire. So everyone's hustling right now to get in the lap, because it's going to come down to just quite simply not making a mistake and getting a lap in before your other competitors. And we come through, we were about kind of in the middle of the grid for who was getting a lap in, and I go slower than anybody, but fortunately the pace slowed down so much I was able to stay in the top 10. Meanwhile, Leclerc out. He is out P14 to start the British Grand Prix. Fast forward to Q3, and the rain has started to really come down on the intermediate compound tire, and didn't really know what to expect at this point. I have a lot more confidence, say, in F1 2020 than F1 25 when it comes to my overall pace in the rain, but I was definitely not quite showing what I felt like I was capable of here in this third qualifying session. And as we come through a little bit later towards the lap now, heading down into Cops, and getting through here, what I felt like was pretty competitive. overall, I mean, I didn't really feel like I was doing that bad of a lap, and as we come through the final few corners at this point, just 2 series of corners to go, and we'll really see where we kind of stack up as Bottas goes top of the board, and we're going to come around these final few corners and just see where we end up actually being to the line. A bit of a slide, and it's slower than everybody. So, not what I wanted, and I couldn't go faster, and that was it. We're going to start P10, and we were quite a ways off, so it'll be Bottas on pole over Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Lando Norris, Verstappen, Albon, and of course Albon, Pierre Gasly up here in the top 10 as well, as we'll get ready to go racing and hit the grid Sunday afternoon.
Great Britain then, one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every single year of the Formula One World Championship. And the circuit extends that record further for today's Grand Prix. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let's talk briefly about Lando Norris. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Norris, Alexander Albon, and Ricciardo, Gasly, Sainz, the Rainmaster, and Daniel Kvyat, Grosjean, Perez, Charles Leclerc, and Stroll, Verstappen, Magnussen, Kimi Raikkonen, and George Russell. Giovinazzi, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
So then we're ready to go racing here from Silverstone, starting on the soft. So we'll be moving on to the mediums here. So it's a one-stop strategy. Pretty straightforward as we get ready to hit the grid and kick off this opening formation lap. And of course with this, front row lockout by Mercedes. Once again, this is going to be super interesting to see how this works out between the 2 drivers of Hamilton and Bottas, who clearly find themselves in the runaway championship battle, even if we're only 3 races complete in this season as we get ready to hit the grid. I'm excited for this one because mainly I am feeling confident that as we start in the top 10, we can also score our first points here in our Formula One career as we get ready to go racing 26 laps in this British Grand Prix. It's going to be 5 red lights, and hold on, we're racing here from Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas set to go head-to-head as no rain expected today. We know it's not really going to be that wild Grand Prix we had in round 3 like the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend. It was unbelievable as we dive up the inside of the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz. Immediately we gain a spot on him back into P8 now as it's Mercedes out in front, but it's Bottas over Lewis Hamilton here as Hamilton's going to be the other way around. It is Hamilton out in front over Bottas now as Sebastian Vettel settles into P3. What can his teammate of Daniel Ricciardo? I saw the Renault and wanted to call Ricciardo there in the Ferrari. Leclerc, what can Charles Leclerc do? Of course, trying to come through this grid now after a poor effort in qualifying. He just got bit by the timing of the rain, and Ferrari just kind of failed him on strategy now as we got a little bit of pressure there from Sainz, but he's not close enough to make a move here as we head down into comps now. Bit of an awkward apex for myself there. Pierre Gasly just in front of myself as we jump through straight into lap 2, and we're just kind of finding a bit of a rhythm here at this point now, and then ready to pounce on the AlphaTauri. And how about AlphaTauri last episode in Hungary with Daniel Kvyat scoring a podium? We thought he might actually be in position to win the race. It just didn't quite work out there for the driver of that AlphaTauri, but Gasly as well. He had ran a great race. As look at this battle that's going to bring us right into the thick of things there, scrapping it out in front of us, and right in the mix there is my teammate of Ricciardo on the back of Alex Albon. Now I'm under pressure here from Carlos Sainz as well as Kvyat's just behind us both. Now Sainz not going to give this one up. We'll go side by side here on the exit of the left-hander, still wheel to wheel now as we open up that rear wing with the DRS. The racing here in Silverstone, absolutely absolutely fantastic in this midfield kind of area on backwards now, as here comes Kvyat in the background. I see Leclerc back there as well. We clear signs, but Norris, he's trying to go around the outside of Gasly, who has to lift on the exit there of the right-hander, and now they're going to go wheel to wheel all the way down towards comp. Someone has to give, and I don't think any of them are going to give, and behind us is a McLaren and an AlphaTauri as well, side by side. We're going to force it 3 wide as we head down towards the S's. Someone has to lift again. It's me. Norris lifts as well, and through goes Pierre Gasly. Wild racing here early on in this British Grand Prix, and we go right back to this track next episode, of course, with this pandemic schedule, but we'll be on the short track version. That's going to be elbows out scrappy, and I think that is a race that is really going to play into my strengths. I cannot wait to head over to the short version of this circuit. But things have calmed down a little bit here, but we continue to watch this battle shape up between Norris as well as Gasly. Now everyone in front, including my teammate Ricardo, Albon as well, they're starting to put a bit of a gap on us, including these two right here in front of us now. So we're only on lap 4, and it feels like we've had half a Grand Prix worth of scrapping, and not necessarily just with myself. Of course, we've been a bit of a part of it, but I mean, other than that, it's been these AI really racing each other hard, which we love to see. Now Norris had gotten through on Pierre Gasly, but I think this is a battle that was far from over, and it's really coming down to just DRS. I believe the McLaren's better than the AlphaTauri. I think our Renault is better than the AlphaTauri, but the DRS is kind of making the world of a difference right now for that team. Sainz still hanging on to P9 over Daniel Kvyat just behind, as we are just, you know, kind of like the first couple of laps of this race. We've really just kind of settled in, and with the DRS situation, that was really hard to get an opportunity to go up there and pass Pierre Gasly, so we're just kind of waiting for things to shape up. We know we've got green flag pit stops here coming up soon, and that's going to be a golden opportunity to, of course, potentially gain track position as these two continue to fight. Norris and Gasly not giving this one up. Norris would love to get on down the road, but I mean, I love this. As my teammate of Ricardo, he's actually going to pit first. And now we're right in the thick of this battle again. Gasly not giving this up. He stays to the left side, and here comes Carlos Sainz now, as I'm vulnerable to the Spaniard into turn 1, and we leave quite a bit of extra room right there. But we go off now for a defensive move on Sainz, make sure he cannot pass me, as we continue now behind Gasly, who still cannot get past Lando Norris. My goodness, Gasly is relentless in this Grand Prix. I mean, he's costing himself time, and he's costing everybody time as well, as we come now to the end of lap 10, and now we are going to come into the pits, and actually Gasly is going to do the same thing. So now Norris has got an opportunity to maybe try and kind of relieve some pressure, and honestly I think he can open up the gap on Gasly instead of lose time, even with the undercut that we're doing altogether. So the softs come off, the mediums go on, and Gasly's going to lose out to Carlos Sainz, who had come in with us right there, so that's beneficial. We kind of get the AlphaTauri, who's kind of driving in like a desperation mode now, kind of out of the picture. So honestly, I mean, I was kind of glad to see that happen right there. But now my problem is, I mean, I have got a mirror full of Carlos Sainz here, so we are certainly going to find ourselves in a bit of a battle now, I think, in the coming laps, unless we can hold on this lap. And as Norris eventually comes in to make his pit stop, he'll come out in front of us, and hopefully we'll have the DRS to kind of put ourselves in a more favorable position here as we continue on now in these next few laps. And you can see, as Norris had come out of the pits, sure enough, we're right here with him in the DRS. Alex Albon will be the next one down the road, and just waiting for this entire pit cycle to run its course. But I think we're going to be about P8 or so, as Nicholas Latifi, he comes into the pits, Giovinazzi as well, and sure enough, that puts us now into the 8th position. So here we are running P8 now after the final and only pit stop we've made of this Grand Prix. We put ourselves in position potentially to finally go and score our first points, but of course it's going to require me to be mistake free until the end of this race, and I feel like it's not a easy task considering how some of our races have gone so far in this career mode. But I think we've got a good chance here to hang on, as we're already approaching the final 13 laps of this Grand Prix. And now I've been watching Charles Leclerc. He has been slowly but surely working his way through traffic, and he is going to be joining the conversation before long here, as we are now coming right up to the back of Lando Norris. Look at the DRS. We've got a bit more pace right now than one of the multiple home drivers on the grid. But Leclerc, look at the leaderboard. He has moved past Carlos Sainz. Sainz has been struggling this run. I believe he might have some kind of mechanical issue because he's been a bit slow ever since the pit stop. Leclerc now through into the 9th position as we run P7, and he was wasting no time in running down Daniel Kvyat in the AlphaTauri, and he surely is going to be able to get past the AlphaTauri as well. And now as we come to lap 17, Leclerc is the next one behind now as we continue to try and stick with Lando Norris in that DRS, and I feel like we've honestly got enough pace here that we might be able to actually fight with Norris and get past him and maybe put a bit of a buffer between myself and Leclerc, and it might come right here. We're fairly close with the DRS and we've got a good chunk of battery to use. Big run with the rear wing open. Norris is practically defenseless as we're going to cruise by him with 10 laps to go. What a race we've got going here. Ricardo P4 and we run P6, and Ricardo is not that far up the road. If we keep up this pace, you never know, we might get somewhere. But the pace felt pretty short-lived, and as we come through to lap 19, I'm about to be back under some pressure here from Lando Norris now, so the pace kind of fading as this next kind of few laps went on, and now I realize, okay, you know, it's not going to be the dream scenario that I was hoping of here, of going and maybe running down an Alex Albon in P5. Now we're back in defense mode against Lando Norris, who has clearly run us back down here over the next course of this lap. So as we come through now to lap 20, we have just 7 laps to go, and Charles Leclerc is almost in DRS range of myself, but he's very much going to be in DRS range of Lando Norris. So it is going to be officially game on here in these closing 10 laps of this race. Not at all the situation that I wanted to see. And now as well, I mean, we had this conversation with the media. Charles Leclerc said what he said as well, as here comes Lando Norris up the inside into comps. A bit of an unexpected move right there. Pounced on me when I least expected it. And now we're going to settle in behind him here in P7 once again. Lap 21 at this point, and Leclerc is within 9/10 of a second. Things are about to heat up between myself and the Ferrari, I feel like. But what I am really focusing on doing is now, at this point, I realize, okay, Lando's suddenly quicker than I am. We just need to try and stay in the DRS because we've got a decent amount of battery, not a great amount of battery. We're definitely going to drain through this, probably trying to stay ahead of the Ferrari, but I'm going to do everything I can to beat Leclerc here in this British Grand Prix and try to score P7 over P8. Now Carlos Sainz has moved back through into the 9th position, but here comes Leclerc as we come to the end of lap 21, and I feel like my fate comes down to just staying in the DRS of Lando Norris, and he is continuing to find more pace than myself here as we come through on to this 22nd lap and just desperately trying to stay in. But look at who's falling back. Sebastian Vettel. I can confirm Vettel has a mechanical issue and he is losing pace, and now here comes Leclerc right to the back of us here into the DRS zone, and I'm really draining my battery. That was my only hope if I want to stay ahead of the Monegasque driver, but we're about to have some help with Vettel fading now with his mechanical problems in these closing laps. 4 laps to go. Lando Norris is right on the back of Vettel. Here comes Leclerc out of the final turn, looking up the inside into turn 1. We're side by side. We leave plenty of room. Near contact there between myself and the Ferrari, and we stay ahead into the braking zone, but this is a battle that's just heating up, I feel, in these closing laps of this British Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel is under full-blown attack from Lando Norris as well, and it's not going to be much of a fight due to the mechanical issues that he has. Norris is going to be able to cruise through. Maybe not right here. He's going to have to wait a little bit longer to go get Vettel now. Maybe he could size up a run down in towards Comps, or if not Comps in the next DRS zone. But look at this, Vettel, he's pushing backwards, and that's helping me get closer to Lando Norris as well, and just allows me to be a bit safer with the DRS now as we head down towards Comps. And now there goes Lando Norris for the move into Comps now, and he'll take the position side by side. Vettel is not going to give this one up. He wants to help his teammate still, Charles Leclerc, if any way possible. Near contact between the two drivers. 4-time champ, and of course an up-and-coming driver of Norris, and Leclerc took a bit of a swipe at us right there, trying to pounce, and now we're all over the back of Vettel, and alongside him down the DRS straight in this final sector. We'll clear Vettel right to the back of Lando Norris. Can't quite make a move there, but we go through into P6 now, and here comes Leclerc right to the back of his teammate of Sebastian Vettel, and I don't think Vettel is going to really fight that one there. He's making it pretty easy. He just pretty well rolled over for Leclerc to go after myself and Lando Norris. Now with just just only 3 laps to go in this British Grand Prix. Things are heating up. Hamilton leads over Valtteri Bottas, and unfortunately for me, Lando Norris continues to outpace us, and we are dropping out of DRS range, so I had no choice but to drain my battery coming to 2 laps to go. That was my only hope to stay ahead of Leclerc, because I had no DRS to use right there. So as we come through to the final 2 laps of this Grand Prix, and we are very much now out of the conversation from having DRS against Lando Norris, we are running out of battery. It's gonna be a nail biter right here, as now, sure enough, again, Leclerc has DRS, but I used my battery completely up as Lewis Hamilton starts the final lap looking for another home win here in Britain as we come through to the longest DRS straight, and this is going to be a sitting duck situation using any battery I have, but we're out. Leclerc to the left side. We're not going to make this easy on him. We'll go up the inside through the right-hander, even got a bit of grass on the tires, but Leclerc is going to get us. He clears us into the final chicane as we head down into the left-hander. I called it a chicane. That's not really a chicane. As we come through the penultimate turn now, the only option I have at this point, turning the fuel up to rich and just seeing if we can do anything on this final lap, and we do stick within DRS range, but we don't have a lot of battery, so it's crucial to save up my battery and use this rich fuel to give us that little extra pace now as Lewis Hamilton in complete control from start to finish, but he never really drove away from Valtteri Bottas, and he comes through these final few corners now. Lewis Hamilton setting up for his second win of this pandemic 2020 season, and he will tie Valtteri Bottas at the top of the points as Bottas brings it home in P2. As for myself, through the S's for the final time, and we're still close to Charles Leclerc, and now we've got pretty well no battery, but we're going to use what we do have with DRS. And Leclerc's in harvesting mode. You see the light blinking on the back of the inside. We'll clear him into the right-hander, but we've overshot. He's going to do the switchback. We'll be wheel to wheel down into the final couple of corners. Right there at his left rear, we'll stick it up the inside. Wheel to wheel lockup. And Leclerc versus Owen heats up contact there as he goes wide. We slip, we slide, we save it. Leclerc gets us, and we'll come through for P7 as this Leclerc v Owen rivalry is really kicking off here at the end of this British Grand Prix. Unbelievable. P7, Leclerc as well wins driver of the day. Wow. That was a fight and a very unexpected rivalry really kicking off in these final 2 races as Toto Wolff and Mercedes get to celebrate another Lewis Hamilton at home Silverstone British Grand Prix victory here, but as well Valtteri Bottas doing what he needed to do in P2 to at least maintain a tie in the championship grid leaderboard now, as Max Verstappen as well back on the podium after a couple of rough weekends here back-to-back for him now, as we'll of course take a look at the finishing order as they celebrate there at the top of the podium. Ricciardo again P4, just short of a podium as well for Renault. Vettel hangs on to P8 with his mechanical issues there, as no DNFs today in this British Grand Prix, so nice to see all the cars coming home to finish this race. But look at the points there, and as well Alex Albon is not far back. He really benefited in Hungary, gaining a lot of points now. Lando Norris in P4, Ricciardo moves up to P5, Verstappen actually down in P7 following Silverstone. How does he go down after finishing on the podium and beating his competitors? I don't really know, but Mercedes leads in the constructors over Red Bull and McLaren, Ferrari, as well as Renault. We find ourselves in P6. That's going to do it for me. We head to the Silverstone short track scrappy version where this battle with Leclerc could continue to heat up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.